All right, here we are. Uh,
Hi,
yeah,
good
hey, how's it
morning.
going? Good morning. Episode 1, Daybreak Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Daybreak, and today we have Katie from Freebird Jewelry. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
It's
episode
the
1.
first episode.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and I saw that on my paper, with the outline that you sent over, and I'm like, okay, is that a typo? Like, hell yes, let's do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, episode 1. I've been
Uh-huh.
we've been kind of like getting the show booked and reaching out to tons of people, and you happen to
Right.
be number 1. So,
Yay.
Juice Man was close. He
Oh, yes.
He
And
was
I,
close. He
uh-huh.
we had one scheduled and then we weren't able to do it. So he almost
Yeah.
made it on episode 1, but we fell short. So
Nice. I've run into him a couple times, like out in Tremont, and he's like, yeah, I'm doing my shirts, I'm doing my music,
oh
like
yeah, he's getting
been
after
out
it.
and about. Yeah.
Yeah. He's getting after it. He's
Yeah,
great.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun episode for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the Daybreak Podcast. Just gonna do our quick ad read. This episode of the Daybreak Podcast is brought to you by Daybreak Enterprises, headquartered in sunny Cleveland, Ohio. Daybreak Enterprises is a custom apparel company specializing in screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, and custom tie-dyed apparel. From beer league softball jerseys, event apparel to large corporate accounts, Daybreak has solutions for everybody. Are you or your organization interested in getting some new apparel made? Head over to Daybreak Enterprises, CLE.com today to browse their portfolio and get inspiration for your next project. Again, that's Daybreak Enterprises, CLE.com to get started on your next custom apparel project. All right. Well, we
The whole
already,
reason I started talking is because of your tie-dye.
yeah, yeah,
Because I was running around and I'm like, ooh, I like this.
it's popular. It's
Yes,
very popular.
totally.
It's hard to
Totally.
do, it's time
Yeah.
consuming.
Yeah, it
But
is.
but I mean, I guess at the end of the day, like it's good. You gotta have some kind of signature product or whatever. Like I think like
Sure.
something that helps you stand out, and we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Let me just introduce you real quick.
Okay.
So I'm gonna introduce you from my perspective. So I met
Okay.
you, Katie. We met like you kind of just said. We met at the 78th Street Studios. And I just remember I got my booth set up and I was just like doing my thing, walking around, like saying hi to my friends and everything. And I just
So
remember,
free time in between where I'm trying to scope out and see what I want to buy, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
fantastic.
which gets you into trouble. Yeah, yeah, of course. But I just remember seeing you like setting up your booth and you were like super focused and like doing such a nice job, like getting your booth to look all like perfect. And I just, in my head, I thought it was really funny because like I just run in there and I like throw my stuff up in like 20 minutes. It's just like a chaotic mess. And then
Yeah.
you're like sitting there and like your booth is all like
I
perfect.
do
And
get
like
serious.
you
I'm
do.
like, I
Yeah.
go into like blinder zone where
Yeah.
I want it to be perfect
Yeah.
and a little more lenient. And I think that just comes with time, like you get more chill.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Uh,
just like, I bring a clothing rack in and I'm just like furiously, I'm usually like running late. I'm like running
yes,
late every single
I
time
know. I
and I'm like
know.
furiously throwing like t-shirts on hangers trying to get it
Does
all
that
set up.
ever get better? Like, I feel like there's been a couple shows where I've been early
Hmm.
and it's this like huge shock.
Yeah.
But generally, it's that same thing. I think the more that you build up like your inventory, the easier it is because then you always have extras. So you're not furiously making like the night before.
Yeah.
And definitely for bigger shows, still, it's like the night before, I'm working all the way up until I go to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, wait, I gotta just get this like one idea out. Or, oh, people have been liking these. Let me put just a little more of those out.
Yeah. It's hard because like I have a
Inevitably.
huge, I think I don't, I'm not, I've never seen like your whole inventory, but like my whole inventory is huge. Like I have a huge inventory
Yeah.
and it's really really challenging to like pick and choose, especially at a spot like 78th Street
Yes.
where we're really limited with booth space, and then like um also it's a short show and
It is true.
it's really hard to get in, and it's really hard
Yeah.
to get out. And
Yes.
so I'm always hesitant to bring, a lot of stuff. So I kind of, the last couple times I've gone, I've sort of focused on like just trying to like feature like one or two items,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, for
just, and
sure.
if they sell, they sell. If they don't, they don't. And it's
Yes,
tough
that
though, trying to
it
like
is.
decide.
Every show, depending on what you're choosing, like the clientele is so different.
Yes,
So trying to be
totally.
smarter about catering to who the clientele for the location is.
Yeah, totally. I do lots of shows where it's like, maybe a younger crowd. Like you said, you're
Get a
doing,
little more wild and fun.
yeah, you said you're doing like Ingenuity pretty soon. And
Yeah.
like, with something like that, you definitely want to like bring stuff that's a little more edgy and crazy.
Yeah.
And like, but then you
Yeah.
do shows like the Cuyahoga County Fair, like I did. And it's a lot of older folks and,
Yes.
people that want stuff that's a little more subdued and like,
Yes.
and so, yeah,
Kind
it's
of
just,
mainstream, but
yeah,
m- leaning on the trendier side on what's in currently like with fashion.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
totally.
mhm.
But, yeah, so why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and like your upbringing and like,
Yeah.
are you from Northeast
Um,
Ohio? Because I don't
yeah.
know anything about you really.
Right. Yeah. So I was born and raised here in Cleveland, essentially. I grew up on the east side in Bainbridge.
Cool.
Um, pretty normal upbringing. I went to Kenston for 4 years after like a really small private elementary school. So that was an adjustment.
Yeah.
I went to the University of Akron. I studied psychology. I didn't do really any creative kind of training.
Yeah.
I like always fiddled around at
Hmm.
home with random stuff. Like any teenager, like I love to collage and I was like always cutting things out of magazines and had a vision board, but didn't realize that that's what that was. I
Oh,
just
cool.
looking at it,
Yeah.
you know. So I was always doing that and making little odds and ends projects like scrapbooking. Love doing that. Reworking clothes a little bit, but the extent of that was like me cutting up old shirts that I was like,
Yeah.
like trying to make
Yeah.
cool.
I've always
Uh,
wanted to get into like cut and sew stuff where I'm like
yeah,
cutting stuff up and
yeah,
sewing other pieces together, and I just don't.
right.
That's a
When
whole nother
it
rabbit
is,
hole. Yeah.
it is. Yeah, like when that was still cool. But
I
then,
think it's cool,
right.
but
Yeah, so I always had fun with that. And
I used
yeah,
to,
I went,
sorry to interrupt you. I used to drive my mom insane. Cause I know she's gonna listen to this, and I used to drive my mom insane because I would just I would cut up my pants, cut up my
yeah,
shirts.
yeah.
She's like, I don't even know why I buy you anything. I buy you
Hey,
something, and you just
so
cut
then
it
I would
up.
like, then I'm like shoving it in like my bottom drawers. Like that's how that was. And I'm shoving it in my drawers because I'm like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble for this, but I feel cool. So
And did you
hey,
wear uniforms in high school?
not in high school, in
Oh,
elementary
okay.
school,
In
yeah.
elementary school, you wore uniforms. I never wore uniforms, but I was friends with lots of Catholic school kids where I
Mhm.
grew up. There was a lot of Catholic school kids, and
Yes.
it was just funny because they could only wear like, they could only wear
It-
uniforms at school. So it
yeah.
wasn't like they were wearing stuff to school to like wear cool clothes
Right.
to school.
And then, I'm like, okay, let's go like school shopping for high school. And we went to the thrift.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's
And
fun. Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun. And I remember thrifting a lot of my dresses for dances. Um, and then so yeah, I went to Akron for college. I studied psych.
Yeah.
Um, I Freebird didn't really start until it was just kind of happenstance.
Yeah.
I kept getting hand-me-down beads from people and I had free time. So
Yeah.
then thinking from it starting there then to what it is now. And one of my ex-boyfriends at the time, their parents owned like a coffee shop and his mom just was like, I see you like this. Um let's host you at the coffee shop and we'll do like a little pop-up. And so that was like 6 years ago now for fun.
Yeah,
Um, everything looks so cute on there.
I know. You got a
Um,
great Instagram.
yeah, I really I try. I do. But I like it because you can curate
Yes,
like how you want your brand to look. And that's another one of those visual things that beyond just making the jewelry that I really enjoy because it's like the vision board. You know what I mean?
totally.
And then I love those earrings.
Yeah, those are
It's just
sweet.
it, coming to life and all clustered together. And you're like, okay, like this is Freebird.
Yeah. Isn't
And
it? Yeah, it's interesting. It's really cool like when you do something like Freebird or Daybreak and like your stuff because your stuff like I look at your earrings and like this is totally an extension of you like as a
yeah,
person. Like this is
yeah.
like when I look at your stuff like
I know.
I see you and like
I know.
when
I really
yeah, that's like such a gift to be able to like look at how sweet these are. I love these.
yes, those are just like some like wrap choker things that I did.
Yeah, these
And
are I
with like
love your stuff.
vintage, yeah, just like some vintage findings that I've been loving. Um,
Yeah,
just that
awesome.
like it's just fun, boho, like some of the elaborate pieces like can be, wear them to your next festival, like
Exactly. Yeah,
wear them out when you want to like just have a moment.
exactly. Yeah,
This piece was just like I had to just like get this out. Like
yeah,
I wanted to do, I'm like, okay, let's do all the metals, all the charms. It's like kind of renaissance-y on
yeah. Like I,
my
so
list.
these, like this stuff right here, like this big necklace. Like when I was, this is what I thought was like the coolest thing
Yeah.
about your little, your business is like how you make these like you make these like huge, like gaudy, like loud
Yeah.
pieces,
Yeah.
and you hit the nail on the head. Like a lot of your pieces are like not necessarily like daily wear. It's for like I'm gonna
Right.
go I'm gonna go to the festival and I wanna wear
Kind
something
of show out.
that
Like,
really like makes me look sweet or
yeah,
yeah,
this
exactly.
this butterfly necklace. Yeah, so then but then I'm trying to incorporate things like this where it's like, okay, let's do some everyday wear. Things that are still boho chic. But let's make them with gold fill. Let's make
Yeah,
them like silver. So then you can wear these pieces every day. They're gonna stay nice for you.
totally.
I'm trying to really lean into like bringing Cleveland quality products because even just in the couple years that I've been out doing shows and Freebird as a business for me is only a couple years old as a
Yeah,
hobby marketer. But it's like I'm running into, vendors several times out of the year. I'm running into repeat customers and I want to keep those
of
connections. So I
course.
want to give you guys something nice.
This is a question I don't have. I just thought of is like, have you considered or have you been asked to do like custom pieces for people?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I've done a handful. I
yeah,
had a couple wedding orders, and it was really, really cute. One of them was a friend, a close friend, and then another was just a customer that I had met out at a market. Um, they both got, I haven't received the pictures yet because they just had their weddings, but they both got like professional photography.
yeah,
And I was at my friend's wedding when the doors opened up to the reception hall. They had a big projector and they eloped. They went to Canada. So they had this video montage going of just these cute scenes and them with like the mountain backdrop, but she made it a point to get these really pretty close-up shots of the
yeah.
pieces that I made for her.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah,
They had to
and
feel really special.
yeah. it was perfect on her.
Yeah,
Tough because I mean the custom pieces, because I don't want to say that the creativity goes away with those, but and I don't know if you could attest to this, like creating things for companies, but if you can't sit, if you're doing things based off of someone's criteria, it's much more difficult. And I feel like
definitely.
sometimes I don't want to say stifles it. It stops the flow sometimes because in the back of your head, you're like, but this is for, so and so. This is for her though. It's not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
It presents a lot of challenges.
it's
Like,
different.
yeah, and I think a big thing, like with me and what I do is, um, especially with like the tie dye stuff, I make it
Yeah.
pretty clear to my customers that, like, this is not like an exact process.
Mhm.
Like I can't.
Yes.
I have a hard time even like getting like, because people will come to me and they'll be like, I want blue and red tie-dyed shirts with this printed on top. And I'm like, okay, so I can't really just do blue and red, because what ends up happening is the colors start to blend, and you're going to get some purples.
You're gonna get
You're going to
right.
get some purple in there. You're going to get the edges of the red are going to start to fade out to pink. The edges of the blue are going to fade out to a lighter blue. So I just have to make it clear, like, that a lot of the tie dye stuff that I do is not an exact process.
Yeah, because then the technical stuff kind of comes into play like on the back end that people don't know about.
Yeah. So just making it clear that it's not an exact process, and that,
Right.
I can do the
How
best
did
I can.
this happen? That's so cool. I'm keeping it.
What's that?
I'm keeping that little rainbow light.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. Look
I'm
at
gonna
that.
keep
Yeah. Just leave it
so
right
cool.
there.
That is so cool.
Yeah. That is cool.
Cool. So then with these wedding pieces, I'm so excited to get the videos and things back and have some professional like quality, photos of them. And then on top of that too, like when I was walking around at the reception, just there were like three people to my friend that were like, "Where'd you get your necklace? Where'd you get your earrings?" And then to hear her being like, "Oh yeah, my friend made them, like this is her business and whatever." It's like I don't know, moments like that happen
Yeah.
and it's just super cool. And I'm
Yeah.
just sitting in the back like smiling,
Yeah. It's,
Um,
it's, um, it's a it's like a
it's
validating feeling.
validation.
It's
Yeah,
validation
yeah,
because you know how hard you work on it,
yeah.
on your stuff, and then to see people get really stoked about it. And like,
Mhm,
for me,
mhm.
I'm sure you've seen, like, on our Instagram and stuff, a lot of my friends are in the gym too, and they're always
Yeah,
wearing my stuff in the gym, and
yes.
they're wearing it because they really like it. They're not just wearing it just to try to, like, be supportive, and like, I'll even go to the gym and I'll just see people wearing my stuff, and it's like, it's just a cool feeling, for
Yeah.
sure. It's
Oh yeah.
validation. It's validation, that, like,
Yeah, because you can tell, and I'm sure with your stuff too, like no one has to buy it. No, and that I feel like I'm talking about all my points that I wanted to mention anyway. But with retail, no one has to buy your jewelry. No one has to buy
totally.
your clothes.
Yeah.
You are putting your heart out there, for people. And then of course, you're gonna get a handful of people that walk up and they're just kind of like, But then when you get those people that walk up where it really, really resonates with them,
Yeah.
and you can tell that they're vibing with you,
Yeah.
and the interaction is just so natural, and they're so excited, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, there's this, all these pieces." Like,
Such a
and
great feeling.
it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's a great feeling. So was your family and, like, your friends, were they pretty supportive, like, when you decided to get started?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, 100%. I think about that all the time, like especially with my parents. They always let me try everything that I wanted to do, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, my
within
mom was like
reason.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, within reason.
Yeah.
But And there was never a point where I went up to them and I was like, okay, I just want to do Freebird or whatever. It was kind of this slow, gradual build. And then I just remember being like, I'm gonna make this into a business.
Yeah.
I'm gonna treat it like work.
You're gonna go for it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go for it. Like, let's do this, And
Yeah.
again, it was that slow process, but I'm all constantly like just thinking how grateful I am because I know people where their parents are like, "Oh, you're gonna do that," or "Well, why don't you do this?"
Or you're not gonna make any money,
Yeah.
or
Or that,
yeah, they try to like logic their way out of it and talk you
yeah,
out of it. My parents are the
right.
same way. Like they're very much like super supportive of
Yes.
me and my sister and want us to just do whatever we want to do. And
Yeah, and
there's
a
no
man.
point. Sorry to interrupt you. There's
Oh
there's no
yeah.
point in like I feel like if you have like a kid or a friend or you're like there's no point in like telling somebody how you feel, like if you think they're gonna struggle or you think it's not worth doing, like
Right.
they'll figure that out on their own. Like
Absolutely.
you can let them figure that out on their
Yeah.
own, like
Go
and
through
let
trial.
the yeah let the and that's kind of how like my family's always been too. It's like
Yeah. And but then to have that support though
oh
is
it's
huge.
huge. Yeah.
Because then imagine on the other end of things coming from a place where it's like, well, you can't do that. You can't do this. And
Yeah,
then in the back of your head, there's always just that like little voice. And as a small business owner, you already have that little voice
of
anyway.
course. Yeah, yeah,
Like you don't need someone else there telling you that.
yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, I mean, my family, and that's great to hear, like coming from your side too, having that support system. I feel so lucky for that. And I'm always reminding myself of that. And then to show, I'm like, oh, look at, I just made this and that. And even my dad gets excited about it. And he's, a
Yeah,
guy. Like jewelry's not generally like a guy thing. And he's like, okay, now that, like that big piece that you
yeah,
show. I remember making that and he's like, okay, now we're talking.
yeah, definitely.
And like Freebird is um creating this, it's becoming its own brand,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like it's starting to have like a cohesive vibe to it.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
which is super cool to see that progress too.
Yeah, because you have to like grow like your you have to have like a quote unquote following, sort of, and you're
Right.
gonna have people that are really into what you're doing, and
Mhm.
those are good people to kind of hang on to and become repeat customers and
Yeah. Yeah.
and spread the word to other people that might be interested. And
I know. I know.
I the social media thing and like the growing like a brand and following
Yeah.
thing is always like it's always that's always been like really hard for me because I've never
Yes.
been like someone who
It
like
is.
I don't like drawing attention to myself really. In fact, I'm kind of like the opposite.
Yeah.
So like that whole like idea of growing a brand and growing your Instagram and pumping out posts and trying to draw attention to yourself, like that's like the opposite of who I am and what I like to
I
do
know. I know.
naturally. But when you
Yes.
like but then it's like, you do start to get a little bit of a following, and like
Yeah.
you realize that these people like actually care, and they don't just care about like Daybreak the brand. Like a lot of these people do care about you as a person, and like
Yeah.
um
They want to know
and that
you.
makes it, and they want to see my new stuff, and
Yes.
and I'm not just like pumping out posts and like and it's not like a fake thing, and like it's
Absolutely.
so yeah. It's funny, my dad, he's like um with like Daybreak and everything, basically with anything, my dad's very much like a show me what you're doing, don't tell me what you're doing kind of guy, and like
Okay.
he's pretty hard to impress in general.
Sure. Sure.
So like, he kind of knew, he was like, oh, he kind of knew what I was doing and knew that I was printing clothes, and it was kind of just like whatever to him. But then it was like
Sure.
he came to one of the West Side Flea events with me last year, and
I haven't been there yet. I want to go.
he came. I had him just in my booth to help me out, and we had a huge day. And
Good. That's
he just
awesome.
was like told after that he like was totally like sold and totally like bought
Good.
in that this is like
Yeah.
okay. He was like,
Because
okay,
he
this,
saw that concrete evidence and you're
yeah,
like, I can make this happen. Like we're working it.
yeah.
And right
He
there. And
saw how busy I was and how my booth was full, people for
yes,
4 hours,
yes,
5 hours straight,
yes. Yeah.
and
That just happened and it made me feel so good. I was doing a small event in Beechwood at Wicked Plant Company, like this
cool,
really, really cool like exotic plant shop, independent owned, women owned.
sweet.
Um, and they popped in and just kind of surprised me, like him and my stepmom. And I had people coming up. I said
You're
hi
busy, yeah,
and I was just like going and you just like see him like smiling in the background, you know.
yeah,
And like I couldn't be more grateful for that.
yeah, yeah. He was
Um,
with me that day, and we
mhm.
made a ton of money. And then
Ugh,
after that, he's like totally sold. He thinks it's the coolest thing. Tells all his friends about it, and
yes, yes.
you know, he's just a funny guy. My
Yeah, it's
dad's funny.
amazing. Yeah, that's
He's
amazing.
hard to impress, that's for sure.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's that?
he's like, I want to see things on paper.
Yeah, yeah, don't
I
tell me
want,
about it, show me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you have any like major influences when you started making jewelry? Were there like other like was there like other jewelers or like stuff that were or were you pretty like just influenced like what where do you like
I,
draw a lot of your I feel like a lot of your influence from my perspective is like nature
yeah,
and like the earth and the sunshine.
yeah.
That's why I think it's so great that like you're outside and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
sun is shining behind you because it's
Yeah.
like you
I'm glad it worked.
just have that like your jewelry very much has that like sunshine like earth and
Mhm.
spirit like vibe to it, you know.
Yeah, not a lot of yeah, I'm glad the connection worked out here because I woke up and it was beautiful outside, but just still kind of dark in the house. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna bring it out to the patio and see what happens.
There you go.
And we saw
Yeah,
our little rainbow and that was
yeah, that
cool.
was sweet.
Um, fashion influences, not really. Like I think Freebird's like it's been kind of a culmination, like how you were saying, like um definitely, I'm a nature lover. So drawing from those influences, you know, the sun and the moon and like incorporating crystals to bring different energies. And
Hmm.
I like the culmination of like the raw stones. And then I like those like gaudy, like vintage, like glass things and like
Hmm.
bringing those all together to create something that's unique. Um, but I think okay, like Claire's growing up, you know, every girl, like we went to Claire's, like we had a little bit of spending money, at least me and my friends would.
Yeah,
And some of the pieces that I make now bring me back to then, where it's like making my inner child happy,
for
you
sure.
know, like butterflies are having a moment right now. And I'm like so excited to incorporate those and then just a bunch of little charms. So like specific fashion influences, no, but I think that the style has just been a culmination of um just me as a person.
For sure. Yeah. How are you
Um,
doing like this is like a side note.
Mhm.
How are you doing like equipment wise and stuff? Do you have like a lot of equipment or is there a lot of equipment that you still want to get or like are you
Yeah, I so not so much like equipment, but I've
yeah.
been just trying different things like I don't have anything on my list that I really want to like splurge on as far as that goes.
Yeah. I
But
do.
yeah, because that's
Yeah.
different. Like, and
Yeah.
then where do you work out of like where do you work and produce your products?
Me,
Yeah.
um my shop is in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so that's I have a room now that's I call it, well, okay, yeah, I guess you could call it a studio.
Yeah, it's a
But
studio. It's a
yeah,
shop.
so that make it sound fancy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a room in my house that's generally a war zone.
Yeah.
I don't it because I don't know. I like start one thing and then I'll get a burst of ideas, so then I have to start the other ones. I'm trying to not do that. So I'm trying to do more like, okay, I start, I sit, and I finish
Yeah.
something. Instead of having a couple projects going at once. But I'll go through these phases where it's like, okay, I have no ideas, so I'll remake some designs that I know people like, and then I'll get a burst. And then I just have to like get it all out.
Yeah. I was talking to like a mentor and a friend of mine, and she's been printing. She also prints clothes and sells clothes, and she has like a few designs that she's been printing for like 30 years and
Cool,
selling
yeah.
like the same design.
That's a long
So
business.
she told me, like, if you have a design that sells and a design that works, like, don't worry about like getting rid of it. Just keep making it.
Right,
Just
right.
like keep selling it.
That
Yeah.
that that went against like initially, because when I started the business, it was all repurposed stuff. It was a lot of
Okay.
hand-me-down things. So it's like I didn't have a lot of product.
Yeah.
Now that I'm buying bigger, and what's been really cool, especially about this past summer, is that a lot of my newer pieces that I've made have just been like going. So I'm like, well, everyone should have a little bit of free bird. Like let's keep
Yeah.
making necklaces that I know work,
Yeah,
and
of
let's
course.
share them.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I thought what was going to make it special, was just one off. Everything was just going to be one off.
Yeah, it's interesting
Um,
how you figure things out and it changes a little
yeah,
bit.
right. And I don't know, it just kind of didn't make sense for it to be that way in the longevity of the business, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
again, there's so many people, not even just in Cleveland, but the world's huge. Like I want to share this with
Of
everybody.
course. Yeah, and like I follow a similar way like I was like, well, if I print the this design in 2023, I gotta get rid of it.
Right.
I can't reprint the same design. And it's like, well, says who?
Mhm.
First and
Right.
foremost, like who
No
says?
rules. Yeah.
Yeah, like who's like who made up that rule?
Hmm. I do that
And
in my head all the time.
I don't want. Part of me is like, I just want to like be creative and like make new stuff, but at the same time,
Hmm.
like like at the same time, like I made this design that people loved in 2023, and like I want to. There's people that missed out on being able to get one, so it's
Right.
like I want people to always have an opportunity to get my stuff. And
For sure.
if I'm trying to like be like if I'm trying to like not reprint things, and like people are going to miss out on an opportunity to get something that they really wanted last year. Cuz
Yeah.
a lot of times I'll sell out of sizes and then people are kind of screwed, they can't get one.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
know,
I think it's like all about that ebb and flow. So it's like those days where I'm kind of like dragging my feet, maybe I'm in this like stagnant phase where I don't have any new ideas. Those are the days where it's like, okay, I'll go back to an old design. But I have really learned that my favorite days, I do love creating media. I really like that a lot. But then
explain what can you just explain for the audience what that means exactly?
yeah, creating things for social media. I really like
Yeah,
and that this is where I think the visual art stuff comes back in for me is I love doing flyers like, hey, I'm gonna be here and there.
that's
And then
cool.
and they might not get a lot of attention, but then I have noticed then I'll be hanging out with my friends or I'll be out doing this and that, and they're like, oh, I didn't know you were gonna be here. You didn't post it. And meanwhile, it's getting 10 likes on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Instagram. And then I'm like, well, why did I even, do it? But it really does make a difference. And then people are like, but I didn't know you were doing this and that. People watch, but you just might not always know that they're watching.
Yeah,
You-
that's what stories I think are good for, because
Yeah.
you can make a post and like it just kind of sits there, but you
Yes.
you can keep your story updated. That's why like whenever I
Yeah.
got stuff going on, I'm trying to like really keep the story updated.
Yes. Yeah, for
And
sure.
if I let's say I got an event coming up this next weekend, it's Tuesday now. Well, I'm gonna keep the story updated Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the
Yes.
way up until the weekend.
Yeah.
Um,
And then to see the numbers growing, that is really satisfying. It's a love-hate relationship with me with social media too, because I don't generally post a lot for like my personal life, you know?
Yeah, I had to
So
start another. I had to start another Instagram just because
yeah,
I found myself posting like too much personal stuff on my Daybreak Instagram.
which like is good because I feel like people do want to connect. They
Yeah,
because so, let's say you see a page, okay? You like the product, you might like the product, but it's a small page, it's an independent business. You go to their website, they might not have reviews, right? But then if they see you on your Instagram and you're like, hey, this is me, this is what I make, this is where I live and what I do when I'm not making jewelry.
people
Um,
care about that kind of stuff.
they
Like,
do.
my mom was talking to me about that. Like when I first was kind of getting started, that like, she was saying like a lot of businesses that they're starting to people care a lot about like the people behind businesses
Yes,
and like the
yes,
lives of the people behind businesses.
right.
And it's like, it's
But
interesting because you look at like I don't know, like big, even like billionaires and stuff like Elon Musk and whatnot. And people are fascinated about like, what is Elon Musk doing when he's not working, and he's doing all kinds of podcasts and
like, right, beyond okay, these
Dave
advanced
Portnoy, the whole
that.
barstool thing, whether you like him or you don't like him, they have a lot of controversial stuff going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
But like I always thought like what they do with their business is really cool, how they just basically have cameras rolling at all times and they're just
Yeah.
capturing like all the insane funny things that are happening around the
Yeah.
business at all times.
Yeah.
And like eventually I love that. I want Daybreak to be like that. I want cameras I want us to always be just like filming the insanity of like what
Yes.
what is going on behind the scenes and like
Yeah, because it makes it relatable because it's not
yes.
people aren't just seeing a product at face value.
Yes.
There's more behind it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can connect with you in a different type of way. So it's like, okay, yeah, I like this shirt, but I'm not sure about it. But then I saw this dude do this really funny video and
Yeah.
he made me laugh.
Yeah, that dude from Daybreak's hilarious.
And
Like, I
he
should buy his clothes.
I saw his podcast episode 1
Yeah,
and I had to buy, 50 shirts from him.
yeah,
Like every design I had to order it.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. So what were some of the first shows you started vending at? Because I know I saw you at 78th Street, but like, were there like
Yeah,
other shows that you were doing? Like,
very first shows, I did little like hometown craft shows.
yeah,
That's what I was doing. I was doing hometown craft shows and those people were so good to me.
that's great.
And then when when the style kind of started evolving and the business started growing and just the look and the aesthetic of it was changing a little bit, I'm like, okay, let's do a little more curated events. So we just did summer dance at Nelson's Ledges. We've been there a couple times this summer. I started shifting a little more towards like music and art things specifically.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, I will say that's how Freebird got its base was at just small little craft shows.
people love the craft shows. Like,
Yeah, they do.
people,
Yeah,
the people that shop at craft shows, like that is like their
they're
thing.
diehards, man,
They
and
are. They love it.
and they're there to shop.
Yes.
And that's another thing is, I don't know if you found this too, is like it's been hit or miss with me when it's like people aren't going to an event to shop. It can go either way because your
Oh,
stuff is kind of in the background.
it's frustrating. It can be really
Yes.
frustrating. Yeah.
It's hard because it's not guaranteed. But then I've had other ones where like we did Alter Ethos, like down in the flats, which was a cool just day festival at Mulberry's. I hadn't been there before. Um, they were doing tattoos, all day music, and then they had vendors, and we did
See,
like
I like that. Like I'm a huge fan of okay. I'm a huge fan of music festivals. However, there is a side of music festivals that kind of drives me insane. Just like
Yeah, tell me
the
about it.
partying and the drug use and
Yeah,
all that can kind
yeah,
of like
yes.
that kind of like irritates me a little bit. But
Yeah,
like I do love the idea of like arts and music festivals and like really just like bringing people together for music, for art, for vendors and like
yeah,
it's just great. Food,
yeah.
like I in the future would love to have a Daybreak music festival and it would be just like a celebration of life and like a celebration of music and art and like
Yeah,
it would be in the summertime of course and like
yeah.
just like um because I really want to bring back Lakewood Music Festival. They did it for 2 years and
Uh-huh.
it got shut down by the city for like noise problems. But I feel like Lakewood, there needs to be a Lakewood Music Festival. There just has
That
to
would be
be.
perfect there.
Like there just has to be a music festival, a Lakewood
Yes,
music festival. It's too perfect of a
it is.
community and
I
it's
know.
too perfect of a
It's
location and like we just need to bring it back.
that would be amazing. Yeah, because it's you've got the young people there and it's like this up and coming, like, okay, get established. It's artsy, like it's got everything going on. Super fun.
Yeah, for sure. But
Mhm.
what challenges do you face as far like what are the biggest tell me like what are like your biggest like just business challenges you're facing and then do you have any like the second part of that question would be like do you have like any like production challenges as far as like getting your stuff
Yeah,
made and like what because I for Daybreak I have a lot of just like business challenges and then I also have like a lot of
yeah,
like actual production like challenges you know
yeah. I want to hear about those because I feel like ours are going to be
yeah
completely different.
for sure
Um, Production wise, it's like I don't have any issues sourcing material.
yeah
Um, the problem that I run into is always underestimating how long things take for me
oh god yeah
because
that's
I
a big
just
one
got these two hands,
yeah
you know. Um, and I'm not at the point where I'm gonna have someone help just yet. If it gets to a point where it's like I'm suffocating and I really can't keep up, then I would bring someone else on.
yeah
But
for
for
sure
now, it's like just enough for me. I think
god
just
there's probably so many like girls like younger girls that would love to help you with that
yeah,
and just
yeah.
learn
I know. I know. And I would love for it to get to a point this year, that idea has been more in the back of my head because, my thought was it's like if I could get someone and anyone who would be watching, if I could get somebody to if I created a piece and I was able to just have someone sit down and I was like, here you go, here's the studio. Can you remake this?
yeah
And then I can move on to the next piece.
yeah for sure
Um, so those days where I'm coming up with new concepts and new designs, those are always the best days because they excite me the most.
yeah
But those are always full day projects because every little bead and every little component that you see was like put there
yeah
on purpose and it's like all thought out. So just the time of it. And then I think just like a personal challenge, there's always just little those little voices that are like, okay, but what if you run out of ideas?
oh
Or
god it's so funny I've had that exact same thought in my head like what if you just like one day can't think of anything else to make
yes, yes.
and it's like okay well what evidence do you have that suggests
That
that that would ever be the
it,
case
right. Because think of where your business started and the things that you were coming up with, and then think of those days where you can't stop spouting off. You're like, but wait, if I make this little tweak and then you just created something new.
yeah for
Um,
sure
and that little tweak can be like a whole new project. And then something might stem off of that other little project. And then it's just this butterfly effect.
yeah yeah
So
you got a lot jewelry's a lot you have like so much
there's a lot of different ways you could go with
there's
it.
so many different things you can do
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
printing t-shirts it's like you know okay, we're gonna print on the front of this t-shirt, and
Right.
now we're gonna
Yeah.
print on the back of the t-shirt.
Now we
Yeah.
could do
Oh,
the
and now we're gonna print on the sleeve.
corner. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, the sleeve. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, sleeve prints.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Right arm, left arm, like,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah. A lot
Um,
of something I've noticed, like with printers and stuff like that, is like they think a lot of screen printers make stuff that other screen printers will think is really cool, but they don't that other regular people that buy clothes don't necessarily like understand. And a perfect example of what I mean by that is
yeah.
like screen printers will print designs that are like 10 colors, like super vibrant, all these different colors. And because it's really hard to do stuff like that, and other screen printers think it's awesome, which
Yeah.
huge multicolored prints are awesome, and but they're not necessarily like thinking about the consumer, like the end consumer. Like, well, what does the consumer actually want? And the
Mm-hmm.
consumer doesn't understand how hard that is to make. They have
Mm-hmm.
no idea. They just see
Yes.
it. They just see a
I-
T-shirt with a graphic on it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And that's where those technical things come into play. You know, people see a facet of a necklace and they point out one thing or a piece, and I'm like, but wait, look at this one. This one is so much more just intricate, and then, oh, I came up with this idea. Oh, everyone's eyes are different.
yeah,
I see what you're saying where it's
some people
like,
like simple stuff. Some people like complex stuff.
mhm,
Some people like really loud stuff. Some people like
yes,
diamond, one single diamond studded earrings. You know, it's
right,
like,
right.
so. Do you try to do that? Do you try to like make stuff that caters to people that like more simple stuff?
Yeah, I've calmed
Just
down a bit.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
hard
have.
though. You
Because
know.
then also too, the more elaborate pieces that do require more time, it's like, well, everyone that comes up, they don't want to spend this amount of money. So it's like the budget range for my jewelry is like $10 all the way up to like a couple hundred
Yeah, it's
dollars.
awesome. I think
So
that's smart because
I
you want to be
think you
able to
have to.
have, yeah, you want to be able to have some stuff that people can just kind of grab and go, and it's not gonna
Yeah.
cost them a lot of money. And then there you go, you just have a new customer, and they have a nice, cool piece of jewelry. You know.
Yeah, or I get young girls that come up all the time too, and of course they want the glitter and the sparkle and everything, but they're like, but you know what? I'm gonna get these like cute little earrings.
Yeah, and you want to
And
like help out those like younger teenage girls and
yeah,
stuff because
yeah,
you were that girl, like
I was.
you were that younger like teenage girl
Yep,
at one point.
I was that person. So then, how I was talking about earlier, it's like I want to like let's use gold fill, let's use sterling silver, but then that also ups the budget for me and the customer. So then I battle with myself too. It's like I have a couple pieces out that are, a gold plate. So it's like, okay, you could spend less money and it's more of just like a fashion piece. As long
Yeah,
as you're not wearing it every day, you're fine.
yeah,
Um, but then there's those people who are like, well, is this gonna fade? And that's where I want to have a little bit of both so that I can cater to everybody.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's cool. Yeah, I think what are like, have you run into any like major challenges when you're out vending? Like any disasters happen to you? Because I definitely have some stories.
Yes, I want to hear. One of the first shows that we did, so it was in Lakewood. And it was this cool like Lakewood Community Fest. And just like a small arts fest. It was really cute. And it was so windy that day.
Mm, it's the worst.
So I mean, the mannequins that display the necklaces were flying everywhere. My earring cards were flying everywhere. And that kind of happened early on,
Yeah,
which was good because then I was able to troubleshoot right away. So
for
now
sure.
I have my little utility box with to secure things, or we have like U hooks now so that when you put the earring card on it, like it's going to take a lot of work for some wind to blow it off, just little things like that.
Yeah.
I have
Wind is the
rain. We've battled rain, nothing, crazy torrential, but actually we were in Kent and there was a tornado warning.
mm-hmm.
And we were at the Masonic Temple and we were outside. So we packed up the jewelry really quick. Luckily, my boyfriend was there to help. Packed up the jewelry really quick, just brought the tent down, and we all rushed inside because the alarms were going off. No one's tent got hurt or anything. Everything was intact, you
Yeah.
know. But if it's super bad weather, like I just won't go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And that's
That's
a risk you take.
Yeah, I've run into some weather issues. Nothing like really bad. In fact, the West Side Flea that I did last year that we did really well at, the weather was fine. It was a nice day. The wind was just insane, and people were getting blown all over the
Yes.
place. But
So
the big
now ratchet straps for
Okay.
your so like beyond the weight.
But what are
So
you ratcheting them to? What are you hooking them to?
it'll have the S hook, you do it on your canopy,
Yeah.
you get stakes, you can
Oh,
tie it and you just hammer it in.
I got you. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, for just some extra backing. I did see now that they're doing the crafters insurance too for shows.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, I didn't even know
Yeah, I
about
get
that.
those ads that pop up, which I don't know, I'm on the fence about.
Yeah, that seems
I'm on the
kind of
fence.
sketchy.
Yeah, I just think like insurance, it's like you're paying into like your fears. Like you're
Yeah.
paying into like
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
anxiousness. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, not yet, but maybe in the future.
Maybe if you like hear that it's worth getting.
Sure.
Like if
Yeah,
somebody like, if somebody like gets back to you and they're like, "Yeah, I've had it for a while and it's actually like benefited me a lot."
totally. Or, if we lived in maybe a different climate where we were doing shows, year round, but it's like we only have to keep it together for 5 months out of the
Yeah,
year.
5, 6 months. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like my new vending schedule, basically June through
Right.
December,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
just take the entire winter and spring off of vending and
Yeah.
focus on other things.
Right. So for me, I'm trying to kind of have my hands in all the different pots
Yeah.
because January and February, I feel like there's really no point in doing retail. It quiets down like after Christmas, no one's
I
shopping.
kind of try to just relax and not do much business stuff at all,
Right.
honestly, just
Right.
because like we've gone so hard for the last 6 months
I
and then
know.
just
But then
basically need like a mental break.
yes, but you know what? I was like looking at my Etsy account for ordering, and I started like January 14th. I started. I was ordering things. I was like
Oh, okay.
favoriting,
Nice.
I was favoriting things.
Yeah.
Um, because I just like wanted to jump back in, get new ideas out. But I feel that too. Like you need those breaks. I do little breaks here and there.
Is have you had any issues with like connectivity, like charging people's cards and stuff? What are you using for what hardware
Yeah,
are you what are you using to charge cards and stuff?
I use Square.
Yeah, it seems like what everybody uses except me.
What do you have?
Shopify. So
Oh,
Shopify is, I use
yeah.
Shopify like as my website and e-commerce platform, but
Yeah.
they have hardware for like live, they call it point of sale.
Cool. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I get like a card reader through Shopify. I've had issues. That's the biggest disasters that I've had is with well, let me ask you this. Are you just using Square to charge cards? What is your online store like? What are you using for e-commerce?
Yeah. So e-commerce, I use GoDaddy.
Okay. So
I
you're just
just
using
I
you're not using Square Online.
I can. So so Square can process through my website. So when you go to check out through GoDaddy,
Yeah.
they'll give you the option where it's like you can use Square. I have it set up. So it's like you can use my Square that's connected to Freebird Jewelry Cleveland. You can use PayPal and then any credit or debit card.
Yeah, so like
I have
Shopify.
my issues with GoDaddy though.
Yeah, I just like the whole Shopify.
No, I want to.
Um, Shopify is pretty incredible because like all my inventory is like synced. So like if I go to an event and I sell an extra large brown
Oh,
t-shirt,
yeah.
it gets pulled off my online store. It
Yes.
automatically
Yeah.
updates all my inventory for me.
No,
But the,
that's awesome.
but the biggest issue I've had two shows where I had bad internet connection,
Mhm.
bad 5G connection, and my card reader stopped working. Because if I don't have a solid 5G connection, then it can't charge the cards. So
Yes.
I've had to. So what's that?
You have a hotspot? You
I
could because I've done that where you can open up your friend's hotspot and then it sometimes doesn't keep it for long, but I did this at the ledges because I was having a lot of issues. And then through Square, what happened was it processed the payment offline,
it does, and then it uploads
but
it.
then what they don't tell you is if a certain amount of time goes by, then the payment will
Yeah,
expire
more than 24 hours.
and it'll expire and then it'll
And
just
if it's a bad card, if it's a bad card, if it's a bad card, the transaction is going to get declined.
right,
But the
right. And then
same thing happens to me.
that,
So basically, what happens with me is if I lose internet, I have to record all the transactions manually, and then
mhm,
when I get back into internet, then it charges then I can charge the cards. But then again, if I get bad cards, if somebody gives me a card that would decline, then then I lose those sales. And then
yeah,
at that point, I mean, that happens not very often, so it's not really that big a deal.
sure, same.
I
Like
mean,
I
I
got
guess for you it would be a bigger deal if you just sold like a $200
yes,
necklace and
yeah,
someone handed you a bad card, but
yes,
you know, for me, like my most expensive item is like $40,
sure.
so it's
Yeah,
not.
I've been pretty lucky with that. But then the other thing is too is then if you're not losing the payment, then it's charging you more for the manual input. So that's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the biggest challenges I've had is like I've had like the technology challenges, and I kind of hopefully have remedied the situation. I switched my mobile providers, and now I'm on like Verizon Business, and
Yes, that's nice.
through Verizon Business you're supposed to get like priority with 5G and everything,
Yes,
so
it's a little more secure.
hopefully be a little bit better and won't
Yeah,
have
no,
too many more of those issues, but
right. No, that's a great idea.
yeah. Like I So like with Freebird for you, and this is like a really tough question probably to answer just because who know like it's hard to say, but like what does like success look like for you with Freebird? Is there like do you have like any kind of like vision of like success for you like and like
Yeah.
your brand and your jewelry and everything?
Yeah. It may seem like a harder question that it is. I feel like I've arrived already.
That's awesome.
Like
I
I
think you
feel
have.
I'm living it now.
Yeah, I think you have.
I have goals. I definitely have goals. Like this year, I'd like to expand into like two more stores. So like
There you
right now
go.
you can shop Freebird in Beechwood at Wicked Plant Co. And then up in Lakewood, which I'm gonna be at this weekend for like a wellness fair kind of thing. But the place up in Lakewood is right on Madison, kind of on the border of Rocky River. It's Ayurvedic Wellness House. And it's super cute there. But it's just a holistic style of therapy. That's kind of like a sister medicine to yoga.
Cool.
So these two girls, and it's just cool because it just aligns with the whole brand.
Yeah.
These two ladies I met at 78th Street.
Nice.
And they were customers, and then the one girl invited me to their grand opening. And then from that, I met this wonderful girl, Shopika. So she's an Ayurvedic doctor, but she's my age. I met her and we connected, and she's like, I love your stuff. I would love to have you in our little boutique space in the wellness house.
That's awesome.
So then you
Yeah.
can shop Freebird there too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, expanding more with some retail partnerships. And then I would also like to get things going online.
I know. Me too.
I would like
Yeah.
regular sales off of the website
I would
instead of
love that.
kind of sporadic hits.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
struggle online too.
yeah, yeah, I'd like those weekly sales. I want to have weekly sales. But
Now,
then
you,
other than that, like I'm happy at being, my baby and like still having like that creative control
yeah.
still, you
Yeah. I
know.
like what you said, how like you feel like you're already succeeding. And
But
I agree
yeah,
100%. I think you're
yeah,
already succeeding. And like,
yeah,
I feel like that way for myself and Daybreak. Like, I feel like I'm already succeeding, even though I'm not where I want to be. And I know how I am and how I have like huge big picture plans for Daybreak. And
yeah,
like,
sure.
I'm probably never totally going to be satisfied.
Oh yeah. And if you're a
And
perfectionist, that's a constant battle,
yeah,
and
yeah, for
I think
sure.
it's like human nature that you always want the next best. You're always looking ahead to the next thing, but look at where you came from and then to now. And I feel like it just gets overlooked. It's like, but I'm already doing it, you
Yeah, it's
know?
like, I started this. I was stretching screens on my parents' kitchen table with embroidery hoops
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and exposing with like making screens in like the most like rudimentary like insane way and like teaching myself how
Yeah.
to screen print
Right,
like
right. Like with the most basic, like probably things that you found, you know?
exactly just like in the most like insane way
Yes.
possible. And
Yes.
now I finally have built my shop up to where it's like semi professional as
Mm-hmm.
professional as it's gonna be for now. And like
Yeah.
and I can pump out projects and get orders done for people. And like stuff is looking
Mm.
good, it's retail
Oh yeah.
quality, people are really happy with it. And it's like
Good.
how do you not look at that as success,
I know.
especially like when you start from nothing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was never like trained in a shop, like
Yes.
I'm completely self-taught and everything. And it's like, yeah, so I think that's great. I think that's like a really good perspective. And
I mean, we're independent business owners,
yeah,
I mean, we're independent business owners. We're young, we're still learning.
yeah.
We're not a big investment, we're not a big
No, I didn't get a
company.
huge, no one
Yeah.
cut me a huge check, like
Right.
I did
Right.
never I've inherited no money in my life,
Right.
like, so it's,
Right.
my parents are amazing and they help me out when they can, but it's just
Mhm.
like, you're right. Like we're small, like hardcore DIY business owners that are, I think that's cool though.
Oh, it's awesome.
I think that makes us way cooler.
To see what I'm loving right now is seeing at our age people going out and doing their thing.
Yeah, of course.
Like everyone's, getting kind of in their niche. It's like I know all different types of people, not even just artists. Like I know some business people. I know a couple of my friends who went into the medical field. Like everyone's just getting into their zone.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I love when you go to a show and you see somebody like setting up or whatever, and like, and you can tell that this is like their first show, and they're like super
we know.
nervous, and like
Yeah,
it's nerve wracking. It's super nerve
yeah,
wracking, and
it
like
is.
you're just like hoping that like you get everything set up correctly, and
And
like,
you're like, did I forget something? There's always like, did I
oh
forget
my
something?
God, that's me. I'm always
The mental
forgetting stuff.
checklist.
Yeah.
That mental checklist is like ringing in the back of your head. And that I know that never stops happening.
That's why Lisa's so awesome though, because she's always got like stuff for me, like Sharpies and like just
Yes.
basic things that I just forgot to throw in my bag, like,
Odds and ends. Yeah.
so I know like, for me, I try to keep like, Daybreak separate from my personal life, but that's hard because Daybreak is so like, Daybreak and Kyle Reddits are so like intertwined, and like Daybreak is very much a reflection of like me and my personality.
Yes.
But how how have you felt like Freebird has helped you grow like on a personal level and spiritual level at all?
Mm-hmm.
Have you felt like,
Um, you know what? That for me, holding myself accountable
Yeah,
for
that's great.
stuff. Um, when I tell myself, because no one's gonna come, I'm not gonna get a tally on a board like if I show up late.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm not gonna get in trouble if I don't go to a show. So it's keeping those promises to myself
yeah,
and becoming more disciplined has really helped me a lot. Um,
totally.
keeping my schedules, you
Yeah,
know, um, doing what I told myself I was gonna do.
yeah. No one's gonna come bail you out either.
That, for me has really helped me grow.
Yeah,
Just keeping those little promises to myself and something about like being in my 30s too, like that that switch over to like that decade for me, like I was like, I'm just done wasting time.
yeah.
So the business has been a great tool for me to just,
I
keep
love that.
just those promises.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I'm
Yeah.
32 now, and like I know exactly what you mean about like I'm so much more aware of my time.
Yeah.
Like, and I have such like a different perspective on my time and making sure my time is utilized the best way possible
Yes.
to keep, for me, like I think Daybreak, like the biggest thing that it's helped me grow personally is like it's screen printing. A lot of screen printing is just solving one problem after the other
God, I know.
and nonstop troublemaking and
Yeah.
troubleshooting.
Yeah. Not,
It is a lot of troublemaking,
oh yeah.
definitely, but a lot of troubleshooting, like just nonstop troubleshooting. And like historically, I've gotten really overwhelmed whenever I've had to do a lot of troubleshooting and figure out problems. But
Yes.
like
Problem solve.
that's kind of like all Daybreak has been is
Yeah.
nonstop solving problems with printing,
Yes.
like and
What the create like the technical, like the printing, then business side too. Because you were
yeah,
saying you didn't have, neither did I. And my brain never really worked in that type of way. So that's another point is like I've also grown from an entrepreneurial side where I'm being a little more intuitive, like to the customer,
yeah,
like actually paying attention to what people are looking at
it's
first,
huge.
what people are commenting on, and then
And
being a little more flexible.
if I had one piece of advice for you is remember that all of that is data. That's
Yeah,
all. If you can figure out a way
right.
to,
To like
to
track
collect
that.
that data,
Yeah.
that's data that you can plug into models and help you like that's a
Yes.
huge thing in business now is analytics
People, yeah,
and
people,
data.
mhm.
I mean, while you look at these social media companies and how much they do with with people's data and
It's,
everything.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's definitely a huge thing that I would pay
Absolutely.
attention to
Yeah.
if you can.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
make like mental notes, but you can even like, you can even like write that information down. There's a huge guy in like the screen printing industry. He's like a business consultant. He's like obsessed with customer data, like
Yeah.
obsessed. And
Yeah.
he basically said like literally everything you just said, like all of that is data. If somebody even looks at something, that's a piece of data that you can utilize in the future to help you,
Yeah.
you know?
This girl that does art prints, she does painting art prints.
Yeah.
She told me she has an Excel spreadsheet where she has tracked all of her income from the last 3 years of every show that she's done.
Yeah.
She puts it in a spreadsheet so that she's able to categorize it by each show and she can actually see
So
her.
smart.
It's
Yeah.
so when we were conversing about different just events, organizers and things like that, she was like, I've seen this decline or this growth, with
Yeah.
particular shows.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really
And
cool.
that's the business side of it too.
Yeah. What do you
Where
think's yeah, what do you think's next for Freebird? Like what do you guys got like going on? And I know like we're getting into the crunch time, getting before
I
Christmas.
know. Yeah.
But like what's
Um,
going on? What's next for Freebird and like what other things what are you looking forward to right now in the near future?
Yeah, so definitely, and then this is for anybody who ends up watching too. Definitely looking for some retail partnerships around Cleveland.
I got a
Um,
suggestion for that.
what's that?
I got a suggestion for that. We'll talk about it after the
Okay.
show.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to hear it. So yeah, anyone feel free to reach out. I would love to meet you, bring you some pieces, just kind of show you what I'm all about. But then here and now, so we're gonna be up in Lakewood this weekend, and then upcoming next week, Ingenuity Fest in Cleveland.
Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna have to come to that.
Which,
I
yeah,
gotta come visit you guys.
yeah.
Do you know
So,
do you know Eric from Blank Easel?
um, yes.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's gonna be up there too.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there's a handful of people, just vendor friends, so I'm excited to see them.
Yeah, totally.
And then, but if you, yeah, so Ingenuity, it's 3-day festival up in Cleveland, like kind of right around the warehouse district. So just think like huge art installations with
Yeah.
all different themes. There's gonna be 7 stages. There's gonna be shopping. It's gonna be
Ingenuity Fest is two thumbs up. If you've never been, you
it's so fun.
absolutely need to go. It is
All
so
different
cool.
types of music,
Yeah.
all different types. And I think they added stages because last year I think they had 5. I think they're gonna have 7 this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be unbelievable for
Um,
sure.
it's so fun. So yeah, we're gonna be there all weekend. And then yeah, just stay tuned for other shows. I'm gonna keep posting. We're gonna be going all the way up until Christmas.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. It was
So,
so nice talking to you.
what's that?
It was so nice talking to you.
Oh, I know. It was a lot of fun. Well, we got to the fun part of the show now. We're gonna do our would you rathers.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay.
All
I
right.
forgot about that.
All right. So the first would you rather that I just wrote these down off the top of my head. So
Okay.
the first would you rather iced coffee or iced tea?
Oh, iced coffee.
Yeah, me too.
Oh
But
my God.
I love iced coffee. I drink as much iced coffee as anybody, but I'm
I
also
know.
a huge fan of
I
iced tea.
do love iced
I
tea.
love some iced tea with some lemon juice in it. Some
So,
unsweetened iced tea with some lemon juice. And that's all I need. It's perfect.
so at home, and then you can just keep it in your fridge. So just a pitcher, and what I'll
Yeah.
do, I'll boil a little bit of water with some sugar, put the tea bags in it, put it out on your porch, and it'll steep sun tea. And then
Whoa, that's
oh,
cool.
it's yeah. And then it's so good. And then just throw it back in your fridge and it's cold. And then you got tea for like the whole week. Some homemade iced tea. And it's simple.
There you go. All right, so I actually just thought of this one. Well, it'll be the last question.
Okay.
Um, beach vacation or mountain vacation? It's
Oh,
hard, isn't it?
I just started liking beach vacations. I just
I
else.
I'm a beach vacation like
Tell me
100
why.
one because I'm a bum and I want to just
I
lay there.
know. That's why.
I don't want to go on vacation and climb mountains. You know,
'Cause
I
that's
want
what I was. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
took a couple vacation, like I did, because growing up, like I really made it a point personally. So like the last couple vacations, like a couple years ago, I did Yellowstone in Colorado for the first time.
That's
Um,
nice.
well, it was amazing, but lots of hiking. So depending on what you want from the vacation, and then Zion.
Zion's beautiful. I've never been
Oh,
there, but
oh
it's
my
supposed to
God.
be awesome. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of work though.
It
Like
is.
my friend's Fitbit watch, we did 25 miles in 2 days.
That's not a vacation.
It wasn't.
That's like a business
So
trip.
I'm yeah, for your body. So
Yeah, I'm a
I've
beach vacation. I'm a beach bum. I
yes,
love just sitting on the beach, reading a
yes,
book.
yes.
I could do that for five
And
days
then
straight.
just walking and
Yeah.
like being able to grab food and
Yes.
then go back to the room.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I'm
I'm
a
turning yeah, more into a beach vacation girl.
yeah. I'm a big beach guy. So we agreed on that one.
too much work sometimes with the hiking.
Well, the hike, these people are out. My girlfriend's hilarious. She'll like
Is she a
she'll go
mountain
on.
girl?
Oh my God. Well, she's in
Yeah.
anything. She'll do anything. She'll have fun doing
Yeah.
anything. But she'll go on like she'll go visit her brother in Colorado and like go hike 20 miles, and it's like no big deal. Just a
Yeah.
walk in the
And just
park.
like yeah, right.
I'm just like I'd be complaining like I'd hike like 2 miles and then complain like the rest of the hike about how I
Yeah,
want to
and
go
then
to
I
bed.
would need to come home and then take a vacation from the vacation
That's
and just
happened to me traveling
wow.
with my sister. That's how she is. Like
Right.
she used to we've traveled together twice internationally, and I came home and needed a vacation after.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, so
exhausted.
then just because then knowing myself, I'm like, okay, well, now I need a couple day leeway now to then come back from the vacation.
Yeah, me and my sister, when I was like probably 21 or something, we went to Indonesia, and she
Ooh,
woke me up this one day. She woke me up. I swear to God, she woke me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning so that we could climb a volcano and watch the sunrise. So I climbed a volcano like for 2 hours before sunrise in the
cool.
dark. I couldn't see anything. I didn't
Right,
even have a
right,
headlamp.
because she wanted to time it just right where
It's
you
like a
get up
thing
to the
that you
peak.
do. Yeah, we
Yeah,
had a guide. Like
yeah, that's cool.
we went with a guide and we like hiked this volcano. And I was freezing cold because of course I
Yeah,
went to Indonesia in August. I didn't bring any cold weather clothes and it's freezing cold.
yeah.
So yeah, that's going on
It's gonna be
vacation with my
hot.
sister. We're gonna get up at
Uh-huh.
3 in the morning and then we're gonna climb a volcano and watch the sunrise. It was
Good
sweet. Like
girl. Oh yeah.
it was cool, but I just remember being at the top and I'm like, I just want to go to bed. Like I'm so tired. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning still.
You're like, I need a blanket right now. And then she's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, we're gonna go to breakfast. Like, we're gonna walk around. Like,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
she's hilarious. I th
Yeah.
she's a mom now, so
That
she's a
sounds
mom now, so I
cool.
think I would imagine I think she'll probably chill out a little bit and
Yeah,
won't be climbing volcanoes on vacation, but at least I
right.
can
Just
say I did it.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So this
Indonesia sounds
yeah, it
cool.
was sweet. We were in Bali for 2 weeks. It was
Because
cool.
I want to do Thailand, and then a friend had recommended if you do Thailand, then look into Bali because it's right there.
You would love Bali.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I would just
Every
go to
time I keep
Bali.
yeah, every time I keep doing my jar, then I keep having to pull it out for some unexpected expense that keeps popping up.
Yeah, it's
So
adulting 101.
it's we're gonna get there. I wish I would have done it before COVID, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Last question I just wrote down. Necklaces or earrings? This is a free
Necklaces
bird
now.
specific question.
Necklaces I got back into again.
Yeah,
But now
necklaces
I
are
can't
cool.
stop on the necklace train. There's like a little more freedom with those when it comes to shapes and design.
Yeah.
And earrings I've gotten a little bit stagnant with. But
Well, that's
for
why
if
you just
for a
take a
while,
break and then you come back to
yeah.
it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
just
for
take a break from it for a little while.
um yeah, because that's what happened. And it's constantly in that rotation, you know. Because
Yeah.
then for a while I got super bored of necklaces and now it's like I can't stop.
You got any would you rather's for me? I just
Ooh,
give
okay.
me one.
I was gonna do like a music
Okay,
question.
go ahead. Do a music question.
Favorite type of concert? Like, what's your favorite type of concert?
It would be a small club hardcore punk show.
Yes. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, small club. So like,
Yeah, I'm down with the smaller shows too.
yeah, it would be a smaller club. Like, I mean, you know,
Yeah, I
just
love
like
the Aurora.
a hole in the wall club with a small
Yeah.
stage,
Oh, yes.
hardcore punk show. That would be
Cool.
my yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
ideal. That's fun. I just went to Happy Dog and that was a lot of fun.
That would be like what I would consider like
Yeah.
small club. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I had
yeah.
never been because then I was even thinking like the Agora, but that's even like a step up. It's been a
No,
while
that's a
since I've
bit
been to
that's way bigger than what I'm
big.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agora
Yeah.
would be almost like the step below arena, like an arena
Yes.
show. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me like
It's been a while since I had been to just a very intimate and
oh
that was
yeah. I came up like, in my early my late teens and early 20s, like going to like hardcore punk shows
Nice.
and post punk shows and like really
Yeah.
small clubs where like the singers like in the mosh pit with us and
Oh,
like
yeah, right there.
yeah,
Right.
and just
Yeah.
going hard, no
Yeah.
rules, like zero rules whatsoever. Like that's
Yeah.
my kind of show for
Yeah.
sure.
And there's just so much energy, and you can
Yeah.
just sit in the room and everyone's just on that same
That's a good
wavelength.
question though, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but that would be it for me.
Nice.
Small club, punk
Yep.
show, hardcore punk, post punk, surf
Cool.
punk, anything like that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it was so nice having you on,
Thank
Katie.
you so much for having me.
Yeah, episode one. You did it. You made it to episode one. That's
Zero
crazy.
one. Hell yeah. And then we're gonna have to get someone to interview you too.
I'll let my mom interview me
Oh, perfect.
or my
Yeah.
girlfriend
Yeah,
interview me.
perfect.
I'll let both of them interview me that because they'll have different questions for me.
Yeah. And then you can, and they know you best, and then you can be in the hot seat.
Yeah, for sure. Well, go ahead and plug. I want you to go ahead and plug your social media. I'm gonna pull your Instagram back up here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Instagram, so it's free.bird.jewelry.
Yep.
We've got this cute little, like, I love the logo. Just the teardrop peace sign logo.
Yeah, it's looking
Um,
awesome.
and then yeah, actually you'll see me right on there.
Right
Um,
there. There she
yeah,
is.
because I did like a little like high post for summer dance.
Yeah.
And then a couple of my newer pieces. And then for Facebook, just Freebird Jewelry Studio, and it'll have that same logo there for you guys to check out. So you should recognize it. Um, and then yeah, come to Ingenuity, guys.
Yeah,
Um,
Ingenuity Fest. Go ahead and what are the dates for Ingenuity?
yeah, so I believe that it is the 27th. So let me look real quick. So it's not this weekend, it's gonna be the following weekend. If you live in Cleveland or even like, the surrounding areas, even Columbus, if you guys end up watching from there, it is worth the drive. You should definitely come. It's gonna
Definitely
be,
worth the drive, I
oh,
would
for
say.
sure.
It's a huge event and it's
Yeah.
definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's $10 to get in, and it's like worth
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
lot going on.
so much. 4 different floors, like I said, all different types of immersive art.
Yeah, if you came from out of town, I would recommend just staying overnight and
Yeah.
because
Yeah, if you
it's a lot to
can't,
take in with like
yes,
one visit one day.
it
You could
is.
go back the next
Yeah.
day.
Yep. And then you can chill and see a bunch of different music acts too, because every day that schedule is
Yeah,
going to change. The 27th to the 29th is going to be,
27th to the 29th. There we go.
yeah. Yep.
Well, awesome. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to episode one of the Daybreak Podcast. Feel free to share this episode with your friends so people can meet Katie from Freebird and listen to I thought we had a really good conversation
I think
just
so too.
about small business ownership
Yes.
and growing and challenges and everything.
Mhm.
Make sure if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe this video. Share it with your friends. Like I said, if you're on the podcast, Apple Podcast, feel free to leave a review of the episode. That helps the podcast algorithm a lot. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks a lot, Katie.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, Kyle.
Yep, yep. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Bye, guys.
I'll see you later.